Hello, my darlings. I'm going to read for the masculines, whether you're in a masculine vessel or if you're just more masculine energy is your normal vibe. I'm going to pull from the Romantic Angels deck first because what I've been picking up over the last few weeks is masculine energy that has been under some sort of transformation. Um, and the cause of the transformation is a feminine energy that has kind of ignited them in some way, but you're in separation. So we're going to pull on it. When I say you, I'm talking to the masculine energy that I'm pulling for, but there's usually a lot of crossover energy. So please don't get confused. All right, so we're going to see what our initial kind of feelings are. Love yourself first. Your self respect makes you more romantically attractive. That's kind of what I was talking about. Like, I'm feeling a lot of transformation energy. That while the feminine was your trigger, not trigger, your activation um, into this growth and into this kind of new evolution of yourself, you're in separation right now. And while they're a constant on your mind, they're not your full focal point. It's they're kind of like out in the distance somewhere, and you're realizing that there's more territory between you and them, and a lot of that has to do with your personal growth that needs to happen first. So let's see if we get another one out of here. And what I'll do is I'll pull from this. I'll do some tarot to see what the universe advice is for you. Oops, one more. Children. Your love life is being affected by children. So there's two ways I can read that, obviously. One is quite literally affected by children, that either you or this other person have children, and that is a serious consideration. I mean, like, if you are trying to interact with somebody that has children in their life, you can't, like, you got to respect a single mom, or, like, if there's something, like maybe they're not single, and they have children with this other person. So that's something to be considerate of. That is definitely a complicating factor. But another way that I read this is inner child. Because if we're talking about loving yourself first, a lot of times that has to do with the things that happened in your childhood that are affecting your behavior now, and loving that child for doing the best they could. So let's pull on a little tarot and see what the universe has to say. See if they can give us a little advice. And there you are. First card up, the Emperor. And so this is always, the idea is the path of the Emperor, becoming the Emperor. The Emperor is four kings in one. So the King of Pentacles, the King of Swords, the King of Cups, and the King of Wands. So pentacles symbolize kind of like groundedness and tangible things. So like pentacles is like coins. Um, so like actual money, actual property, that type of thing. Swords is logic and clarity of communication. Wands is passion and enthusiasm, and cups is emotional intelligence, um, and psychic abilities and intuition. So an emperor is a combination of all of those kings in one. Someone who has themselves so well in hand that they're able to build an empire with the strength that they hold within them. The Emperor being clarified by the Seven of Cups, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy, wishful thinking, choices, illusion, searching for purpose, and daydreaming. I see that as that kind of searching for purpose. If we're looking in conjunction to the children, and like childhood wounding, yeah, Six of Pentacles in reverse, self-care, one-sided charity, greed, strings attached, unfairness. Childhood's not very fair. There's a lot of powerlessness that happens when you're a child, and especially if you were raised as a man, as a boy. There's a lot of swallowing it that you have to do, a lot of unfairness that you just have to deal with. That happens for both sides too. Like, I certainly remember being a kid, and I remember being in class and looking out the window at all the boys that were getting to play basketball, and all us girls were sitting inside coloring. There's nothing wrong with coloring. I wanted to go outside though, and I wasn't allowed to because I was a girl, and it was time for the boys to play, and the girls needed to play nicely inside. That just felt unfair. Three of Pentacles in reverse, disharmony, misalignment, working alone, lack of teamwork. I'm getting the sense that there's a conflict going on right now where maybe childhood friends, possibly family as well, that there's some sort of conflict going on where you're not communicating very well and you feel lonely. You know, like, it's hard when you're trying to grow into a new person and there's these people in your life that want to hold you to that older version of yourself. Um, but that older version of yourself had accumulated maybe toxic patterns or unhealthy patterns at the very least. And you're trying to break out of those, and those other people are kind of trying to reinforce them. And so while you need to distance yourself from them, it also feels really lonely because everybody else in your life doesn't know you that well, doesn't know you deeply. You don't feel like you can be yourself. You still feel like you have to put on a facade of some sort. Ten of Swords, painful ending, wounds, loss, defeat. Ten of Swords is extremely painful. I mean, look at this person just laying there with a bunch of swords in their back. It does speak of betrayal. But I have this feeling that the betrayal is sort of like a betrayal that was there all along, but that you didn't know, you didn't have awareness enough to recognize it as a betrayal. Sort of like if it was your father, there was behaviors there that, like, your father told you, this is what a man's supposed to be, this is what a man's supposed to do, and you've grown into a man now, and you realize that that doesn't work. All those things that your father told you about how to be a man and how to have a relationship with another person doesn't work. And so you feel betrayed by that. They gave you bad advice because they weren't a good husband, or they weren't a good, like something along those lines, that you realize that their relationship was toxic and that you don't want to replicate that. And so you feel betrayed, like that you subscribe to an illusion. It's that kind of illusion there. You subscribe to an illusion of what love is and what love's supposed to look like, and you realize that's not it. And you feel like you don't know where to go from here. I got to pause for a second. I have to clear off storage on my fucking phone again. Excuse my language. All right, so I think that, ooh, next one came out Eight of Cups and Seven of Swords. They started to come out backwards, and then as they fell, they kind of rotated upwise. So Eight of Cups is disappointment, and Seven of Swords is betrayal. I think that reinforces what we were talking about. This Eight of Cups, you can kind of see here how the cups are lined up, and there's two on this side and one on this side, and this person's kind of walking away. As it says here, the past needs to be put where it belongs. Set yourself on a journey forward, whether that's towards something big like a new job or relationship, or something small like a new hobby or a pattern of thought. Either way, you're looking for a higher purpose. The recognition you seek cannot be found in your current position. And Seven of Swords is the concept of kind of sneaking around. So it's this guy, he's like collecting a bunch of swords and he's like sneaking off. You're sneaking around and you think you've gotten away with it. One misstep and you're going to be caught. Is it worth it? The upright Seven of Swords may also be indicating that you need to prioritize. Finding shortcuts to get through responsibilities is not going to work. You need to get things off your plate so you can focus on the bigger picture. And the upright is things like coming clean and confession, or in the reverse, excuse me, and indecision, aimlessness, drifting. So the way I read that is, like, because it's clarifying the Ten of Swords, which is that like ultimate painful ending. I feel like that is all encompassing. Like every one of those Ten of Swords is something. Like one of them belongs to your father, one of them belongs to your mother, one of them belongs to a friend, one of them belongs to an ex-girlfriend, one of them belongs to this feminine. Like you just feel like you've been stabbed over and over and over again. And it feels like you're being attacked. But I think you've come to this awareness now that part of that is of your own making, is of you subscribing to these illusions that were sold to you as this is the way you're supposed to be as a man. This is the way you're supposed to be in a relationship. This is the way you're supposed to be in work, etc. And so I think you're coming to terms with the fact that you need to walk away from these old habits, but I feel a huge blockage there. There's so much embeddedment into your current life that it feels like the whole house of cards is going to fall down. And so you just feel stuck. Like Ten of Swords is normally, in a sense, hopeful because it's like it can't get any worse. But the way I kind of feel like when I see this is like this person is just like stuck to the ground. Like there's so many swords of obligation, of falseness, of whatever, that they're just like, they can't even get up. Like they're just punctured into the ground and they're just stuck there. Like they don't even know how to move forward. Knight of Cups. Once again, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, water sign. Creativity, charm, imagination, beauty, knight in shining armor, following the heart, and proposals. And I think that's where this feminine comes in. Is there like this, something about them makes you feel like a knight in shining armor, like you could be a knight in shining armor. You like the way you see yourself when you imagine it that way. And I feel like sometimes you get caught in dreaming about it and daydreaming of it instead of actually doing anything about it. Because it's easier to just daydream because you don't know where to start and you feel just like trapped against your current life with all these swords. Page of Pentacles, sideways, right under the Knight of Cups. So that means it can be read in either direction. Upright, the Page of Pentacles is manifestation, financial opportunity, and skill development. In the reverse, it's lack of commitment and greediness, laziness, procrastination, and unmotivated. So the concept of the Page of Pentacles in the sideways is, like I said, you don't know what to do. But you've got two options. One is in the upright, which is slow and steady, skill development, desire, diligence. And the other way is laziness, procrastination, and irresponsibility. I think you know which one it is. It's either sit in this misery, this victim mentality, wondering why me? What can I possibly do about this? Or figuring out how to make it through one step at a time. As I look at these cards, I get this sense, like I mentioned before, that there was circumstances in your life that feel like betrayal to you, disappointment. But there's the sense that it's karmic in nature. Sorry, my just dropped. A sense that there was, it's like the universe is trying to get you to see something, trying to get you to learn a lesson about something, maybe about the connections in your life. Perhaps there's some unhealthy behaviors there, and maybe the connections in your life feed into those unhealthy behaviors and perpetuate them. And I think the universe is trying to get you to open up a new set of eyes on how to proceed forward. The card that flung out was Two of Pentacles in the upright, multiple priorities, time management, juggling. So I always kind of see, it's like this person and they're kind of like teeter-tottering things in the 3D. So it's pentacles or coins, which is things in your reality. So it's like priorities or obligations, like I need to do this, but I need to do this, but I need to do this. The next one that came out was the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, which is the concept of feeling stuck, stagnation, perfectionism, work without reward. And that's what this kind of feels like, this Two of Pentacles. Along with that Ten of Swords, is there's just like all this burden and all these obligations and all these things that are going on in your life, and you can't figure out how to undo one to get the next one to move forward, how to move out of your situation because you're so deeply embedded with all of these obligations. It's kind of like you feel like you're just stuck, like you want to move forward, you want to grow, you want to become a better version of yourself, but you feel like you've spent so much time cultivating relationships in this current life that you can't break free. Page of Cups upright. Creative opportunities, news, messages, information, curiosity, possibility, happy surprise, new love. Listen to your heart and go with all things sentimental and romantic. Share those tender moments with someone special. Feel free to express your feelings, dance like no one's watching, and be a giant goof. Have fun, be wild, Moonchild. Page of Cups is a very naive type of romantic feeling. I think if I were the universe, I think it's telling you, like that there's a little bit of like the word that sticks out in my mind is goof, like being goofy. Like I feel like there's something around these obligations around your image, like who you're perceived to be, like maybe that you always have to be serious or you always have to have your shit together, and that you're not allowed to make mistakes or be silly, and that maybe on the inside you are silly, you are goofy, but you're not letting yourself be. You're maintaining an image that is too restrictive. That maybe there's some sort of like King of Pentacles, yeah, that like that you have to project this image of wealth, business, success, discipline, comfort. That's what I feel like is the image that you're trying to protect. It's this concept of feeling like you have to seem like you've always, like I said, you've always got your shit together, like the King of Pentacles, but you don't. I mean, like this spread, it's pentacles, cups, swords. The only thing we don't have is wands, really. But your communication is upside down. Your tangible success is upside down. Your emotional environment is upside down. There's a lot of difficulty here. Justice. That's what I mean. Like there's something about this that feels karmic in nature. Fairness, truth, equity, balance, cause and effect. It's like you made some decisions. On the bottom of the deck is the Nine of Swords upright. Anxiety, depression, nightmares. There's something that keeps you up at night. Some choices that you made, choice or choices. And you've kind of backed yourself into a corner. I almost get this sense that like, it's like the universe granted you something, like a wish fulfillment, something that you were trying to manifest, and it didn't go well, like you weren't in the right frequency to receive it. And so now the universe is forcing you, like forcing you to correct the things in your life and the things about yourself that were making this making the situation not go your way. So like the feminine, for example, maybe you manifested her, you wished for somebody and you got her, but you couldn't keep her. And the cards that came out after that was Knight of Wands and Eight of Wands. And so that gives me the sense of like, you came on too strong and you came on with like very sexual energy, very passionate, but like overly, it's like it gives love bombing. It was like you decided that you were going to marry somebody before you even got to know their middle name, you know, which probably scared them. And then when they responded in that way, you decided to be Four of Cups. This is the idea that the universe was handing you something and you weren't looking at it. You were looking at the Three Cups down here. The universe tried to hand you something You approached it like you probably approach everything, which was like, suave and sexy. Hey, baby. But this feminine wasn't responding to that. And so when she didn't respond to it the way that you thought she would, then I feel like however you responded to that, that's the justice that's happening right now. Whatever you did in response to that, this is the consequences of those actions. The universe is basically saying, I gave you what you wanted. You didn't take it. And now justice is needing to be paid. You don't take a gift from the universe and squander it. Instead, you have to rise to meet it. Yeah, I'm going to get a couple more tarot cards. Then I think I'm going to move over to my message cards. We'll see what this feminine thinks. The Devil. Shallow. Addictions. Temptations. Destructive behavior. Materialism. Toxicity. This is what was presented. The universe gave you what you asked for, and this is how you presented yourself. So that's why this is all happening in your life. Karmic cycles typically happen every 2 years. But if you're activated into some sort of spiritual journey, those rules don't apply. It can happen anytime, anywhere. And it would appear that you are in the middle of paying a price, but you will continue to pay this price if you don't learn. I feel this stuck energy is here. Sorry, I keep bumping my microphone. The stuck energy is here because it's like you need to make better choices. You know what you need to do, but you just aren't. You just aren't moving forward. It's like you're so stuck in your ways. Afraid. You're just afraid. I don't know if these are the cards I want to do. All right, we'll give it a shot. We'll see what this feminine thinks of you. Split it right on thinking of you. Well, she's thinking of you, so that's nice. If I were her, I'd probably be worried about you, even if I had to leave you behind. I'd probably still be worried about you. Because even if it's not public knowledge that you're going through hell, she can feel it. So let's see what she has to say or thinks about this situation. What does she think about your situation? Incompatible. Yeah, it's the misalignment. Sorry. You guys are misaligned right now. Incompatible. I wonder what she thinks about this children card that we have. What does she think about your childhood wounding? Something going on there? Ooh. My person. I feel like there's mirrored childhood wounding. When it comes out as saying my person, it seems like whatever you experienced was experienced on her side as well. That you have similar wounds. This one. Respect. I feel like what this feminine feels is they were shown a lack of respect, a lack of dignity. If you're an emperor, she would show up in empress energy. Serendipity. The way you guys met was probably coincidental, accidental, out of the blue. If it was a manifestation, that's how that would work. But respectful. Keep going back to that word, because like if you're showing up in Knight of Wands, Eight of Wands, and the Devil, that's not very respectful. That's not respectful to somebody's intelligence. Or possibly to their standing. Soulmate. But it came out backwards. I read that as like somebody who has the potential to be a soulmate or soul tie, like that you are a soul tie. But a soulmate is somebody who calms your nervous system. A soulmate is somebody who is gentle and nurturing, feels like home. I feel like maybe that's how this person presented themselves. But you presented yourself as inauthentic. And afraid came out again. Afraid to get hurt. Afraid to be made to look like a fool. Afraid to be foolish. Invisible. I think you both feel invisible to each other. Solitude, yeah. I think you guys are both in separation right now. You're not talking to each other. You're not messaging each other. You're not liking each other's stuff. You're just cool, distant. She's watching from a distance. Yeah, because like when I look at this, so I get all these blue cards, which is like cool emotions. That's the predominant card. And then the afraid is kind of like a little bit of both. Yeah, I think the way she sees it is you've made your decision of how you want to behave, and she's not compatible with that because it's not respectful to her, to who she is, or to her values. And like I said, like in earlier, if there's children involved, like that's big. How you treat their mama is an example to them, especially if she has like a daughter. It's an example to her daughter of what kind of behavior is tolerable in a man. And if you're showing up in Knight of Wands and Devil energy, I think you really need to look at your vices, drugs, pharmaceuticals, gambling, spending too much, trying to maintain an image. It's like you're resisting an ego death. Because you don't think that there's anything underneath it. But what's underneath is your inner child that you've buried. You're a beautiful soul. I can feel it. I can feel the kindness and the care there. It's just you were taught to be something different. And now you have to unlearn that. You have to reparent yourself. I feel like a therapist would be really helpful. Someone that can teach you positive coping strategies more than just watching tarot. Because I think the trajectory of your life will drastically shift to the better if you're able to break out of this containment that you've been kept in and are now allowing yourself to be kept in. You're self-imposing these swords in your back through habits and relationships and vices. I can feel that you want to change. I can feel that every time you're with someone in an intimate setting, you feel detached and numb, like you're going through the motions. That's not how life is supposed to be. It can be more. And it's never too late to change. Good luck. I love you.